What's up YouTube, jDantastic here, and today we're talking about some very exciting news that we received today. I'm sure that you were all in the know. I'm sure that your sub boxes have been flooded with videos such as this one with the news and information and speculation and all that kind of stuff. But I can't just sit back and not make a video on this because I want to get some of my thoughts out there. If you are not privy to the information, it was announced, well, not necessarily announced, but leaked effectively today that there is a new Dragon Ball game. That is correct, Dragon Ball FighterZ, which is scheduled for an early 2018 worldwide release coming to PS4, Xbox One, and Steam. So, it's a 2.5D fighter, which is effectively kind of like the Street Fighter version of a fighting game where you have it's 3D animations locked into a 2D plane. So I don't know if it's going to be like Tekken necessarily, where you can kind of like sidestep towards the screen and kind of gradually rotate around your opponent. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think it's going to be locked in kind of that 2D plane, which I'm actually excited about. I like the 2D plane fighters, you know, a little bit better than being able to kind of move freely around the screen. But I also like the aspect of having the 3D elements in there as well, because I think graphically it's going to look a lot cleaner and make everything just look more crisp as far as the animations and the fight scenes and all that kind of stuff. So there you have it. That's the big news. There's a new game coming onto the scene. It's not Xenoverse 3, and plus the other big thing about this game is that it's going to be a competitive fighting Dragon Ball game, which I mean, realistically, I wouldn't consider hardly any of the Dragon Ball games to be competitive from like an actual competitive sense. Now obviously you can be competitive in games like Xenoverse and like, you know, some of the other style games, some of the Budokai games. You can be competitive in those games, and some of them were much more competitive than others. But as far as like an actual competitive game that could be something taken to Evo, for example, which I believe that is the goal of this game, is to go to Evo, there hasn't, in my opinion, there hasn't really been a Dragon Ball game to accomplish all those things so far. So that's what's really cool and exciting about this game, because it's supposed to be a legit competitive Dragon Ball game. Now that's obviously raising some concerns for a wide range of the fan base of these games, one of which is character roster, because that's always a big thing. You know, we want as many characters as possible in Dragon Ball games because there are a lot of cool characters out there. Well, what is my stance on that? Because you guys know that I have always been one of the people that's like, I want as many characters as possible. I want, you know, Budokai Tenkaichi 3 list of characters, hundreds of characters, as many Dragon Ball Z characters as you can pack into one game. However, where I draw the line on that belief is a competitive style fighting game, because in a realistic, perfect world, yes, there would be a huge roster. Every single character would be perfectly balanced. They would have a phenomenal range of movesets, and there would be characters that counter other characters and moves that, and you know, that would be the ideal fighting game. However, that is nearly impossible to create. That's why games such as, you know, Mortal Kombat fighting games and like Tekken games and Street Fighter games and real competitive games don't have a slew of characters. I mean, you can make some of the arguments for like Marvel vs. Capcom and things like that have a wider range of characters, but nothing on the scale of like Dragon Ball Z style, where there's literally, you know, hundreds of characters to choose from, different variations, and a lot of them end up playing the same way. They share the same grabs, or they share the same combo animations, or they share legitimately the same move sets like super moves and ultimate moves, just because it's hard to create such uniqueness with a vast range of character selection. So that's why I feel for this game, for a competitive game, I would be perfectly happy with a much much smaller roster with just, you know, the really main characters that have been throughout the series. So obviously in the screenshots we can see some characters. We can see Vegeta, we can see Goku, obviously Frieza, Cell, Buu are all there. But you know, some of the characters who might not make a lot of sense in this game, like Hercule off the top of my head, in a competitive style Dragon Ball Z game, you know, I don't know how well Hercule would fit into that roster, other than maybe just like a joke character kind of thing. But you know, characters like Gohan should be in there, the top names. But then you gotta draw the line somewhere, because there has to be a point where you can't fit any more characters in and still keep a nice, clean, balanced game. So that's just my opinion. So I'm not too concerned about the roster yet. I mean, hopefully there's a wide range of characters to choose from with different unique fighting styles and things like that, and I'll be happy in this style of game. Other than that, the other kind of complaint that I saw was that people are tired of quote, Dragon Ball Z games, and they want Dragon Ball Super games. Well, just one thing that I want to point out is that the title of this game is Dragon Ball Fighters. It's not Dragon Ball Z Fighters. It's just Dragon Ball Fighters, and it actually says, quote, is a brand new full-scale fighting game of the series Dragon Ball and will be available worldwide. Not a full-scale fighting game in the series Dragon Ball Z and will be available worldwide. So we don't really know yet how much of Super is going to be incorporated into this yet, and I don't think we can bash this game and say, well, it's time to move on and have a Super game, number one, because Super is still running, it's still airing, there's a lot to happen, so things could change, and it's hard to plan ahead when a series isn't even done yet. So I don't see any problem there. I don't think that there's any issue with saying that it's a Dragon Ball game and that it should be Dragon Ball Super Fighters. I think that we are correct in calling it Dragon Ball Fighters. I think that's a solid choice. One other noted thing is that the game features 3-on-3 battles, giving you the opportunity to strategically make a 3-man team based on the compatibility of the characters. Also, this game does feel different due to the addition of another feature such as the thrill of high-speed battles unique to Dragon Ball and flashy finishing moves. So, all that is really, really cool. You can have tag team matches, and, you know, as a matter of fact, they could tie in some Super stuff into this and make it really cool because we have the tournament coming up, and there's a huge team, so, you know, you could have different unique stuff between, like, Goku and Frieza. If Frieza ends up joining the team and being part of the tournament or whatever, you can have interactions between Goku and Vegeta, interactions between Gohan and Piccolo, interactions between Krillin and Goku. Depending on who you have on your team, you know, the different compatibilities can make things stronger or weaker, or there could be unique super attacks based on the team that you have. So I think there's a lot of cool stuff to do there in terms of, you know, adding to the uniqueness and things like that. I really feel like this is going to be a game like we haven't seen before, and I'm really, really, really excited about it. Just to read you a quote from the producer, in recent years there have been a lot of 3D Dragon Ball games, so I decided to go with 2.5D because with one look it looks closer to 2D animation of the anime, but since it's a game, the camera angles can be tweaked and a lot of other elements can be added which might not be possible with just 2D and 3D. I think we will surely be able to experience the game as if it's being animated in real time. Please look forward to this unique Dragon Ball battle experience. So that's really cool. The 3D aspect of it is going to allow us to, you know, if there's like a super move or an ultimate move or things like that, the camera can kind of shift around and really make it feel like you're in the anime, but also keep that kind of 2D fighting style intact so that it does stay competitive. And you know, you don't necessarily lose that. With Xenoverse, you got people running all over the map, and there's all different kinds of issues with, you know, snap vanishing and running away, and the 3D aspect at some point kind of limits the competitiveness that you can have in a fighting game with arenas so large. So that presents, you know, certain issues and things like that. So I do agree with the 2.5D thing. I think that's going to be great. So we have it. We have Dragon Ball Fighters early 2015. Which is just great. I'm really, really excited. I know that in Rhymestyl's video the other day, I said that if I had to choose, if I got to pick the next Dragon Ball Z game, then, or excuse me, I just did it myself, the next Dragon Ball game, I would probably pick Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3, just because I really love that series so much. I think it's great. I have a lot of fun with it. I'm still hyped up on it. I still play it almost every single day. And so, you know, how do I feel about this game coming out instead? I am perfectly happy with it. I've been getting into some other fighting games. Injustice there for a little bit. I still play it from time to time, not a ton because I am kind of hung up on Tekken. So I'm getting a little bit more and more into the competitive fighting game scene, especially with games like Hyper Dragon Ball Z that I've played on my channel a lot over the years. And it's going to be cool to have something like that in the console setting, in an official setting. For you PC users, Steam, which is great, except Japan, apparently. So it's going to be on PC, Xbox One, and Steam, everywhere but Japan. So that is really great. It's all really good news. So far, I'm hyped up. I know, obviously, we don't know anything at all about the game as far as like any real details about how anything is going to work or anything like that. But just from the small little details that we have so far, I'm really, really excited. I hope you guys are excited too. We should potentially find out a decent amount more about the game come E3. Maybe we'll get like a trailer drop or something like that. That would be really, really cool. But I want to know your thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. Hit me up in the comment section down below. Let me know your thoughts or your concerns about the game. Again, if you have too many concerns about the game, I don't know what you would be concerned about necessarily yet, unless you just don't like competitive fighters, unless you're just a completely casual player who likes to take Xenoverse seriously, but in terms of other fighting games, they're not really your jam. I can see how that might trip you up a little bit, just because, you know, you might be intimidated by a little bit more of a competitive fighter. But you know, other than that, there's not really a lot to complain about yet. We don't have enough details to start complaining about the game. So we're gonna see how it goes. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to know your thoughts. Drop some comments down below. I want to hear it. If it's you know, if you're hyped up, if you're excited, make sure you hit that like button. And I'm gonna be covering as much as I can of the game. I might be a little bit later than everybody else because I do have other jobs and things that keep me away, and I can't just sit and scroll Twitter all day and wait for this news to come out. But I will do my best, and I'll put my thoughts and comments out there on stuff and news that we do get announced and things like that. So thank you guys so much for watching. As always, ladies and gentlemen, I will talk to you in the next video. Later.